One of the things that was clear to me is that this new group headed by the former president, the former defeated president, we found ourselves in a situation where we were either going to look forward or look backwards. And it's clear which way he wants to look. It's clear which way the new MAGA Republicans are. They're extreme. And democracy is really at stake. You can't be a democracy when you support violence, when you don't like the outcome of the election. You can't call yourself a democracy when you don't, in fact, count the votes that people legitimately cast and count that as who you are. You can't be a democracy and call yourself one if you continue to do what they're doing. And so, folks, look, we have a choice. When Trump and the MAGA Republicans made their choice. We can choose to build a better America, or we can continue down this sliding path of oblivion to where we don't want to go. When you saw those people coming out of the fields down in Virginia carrying torches, literally coming out of the fields carrying torches with swastikas, chanting the same anti-Semitic bile that was chanted in literally the same anti-Semitic bile chanted in Germany in the 30s, accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. And the guy that I beat in this last election, and when they asked what he thought, he said there were really fine people on both sides. I said something's really wrong, something's changing.
There are concrete indications that famine will occur in parts of Somalia between October and December, the UN's humanitarian chief said on Monday. Martin Griffiths made the warning in the capital Mogadishu, against a backdrop of worsening drought and global food prices hovering at near record highs.
I've been shocked to my core these past few days by the level of pain and suffering we see so many Somalis enduring. Famine is at the door, and today we are receiving a final warning.
The Horn of Africa is experiencing its worst drought in 40 years. Experts say the region is on track for its 5th consecutive failed rainy season. Griffiths said the current situations and trends resembled those when famine hit Somalia a decade ago.
Except now they're worse. The unprecedented failure of 4 consecutive rainy seasons, decades of conflict, mass displacement, severe economic issues are pushing many people to the brink of famine.
More than 250,000 people died in the 2010 to 2012 famine, and half of them were children.
A federal judge on Monday agreed to appoint a special master to review records seized by the FBI during its search of former President Donald Trump's Florida estate. U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon in West Palm Beach, Florida, said in her ruling the special master will review documents the FBI seized that could be subject to attorney-client privilege or executive privilege. Judge Cannon ordered the Justice Department to put its criminal investigation on hold, but said she would permit U.S. intelligence officials to continue conducting a classification review and a national security damage assessment. She wrote that Trump faces potential harm through improper disclosure of sensitive information to the public. Cannon was appointed by Trump in 2020, just months before he left office.
The FBI and the Justice Department have become vicious monsters.
Trump, without evidence, has accused the Justice Department of launching a partisan witch hunt against him, and his lawyers argued that an independent third-party review of the materials would be an important check on the government. Trump is under investigation for removing government records, some of which were marked as highly classified, from the White House after he left in January 2021, and storing them in his home at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach. The Justice Department has said it is also investigating possible obstruction after the FBI found evidence that Trump's team may have deliberately concealed classified documents when agents tried to recover them in June. A group of former federal prosecutors who all served in Republican administrations also filed an amicus brief in the case, saying Trump's request for a special master was, quote, unprecedented, filed in a court with no jurisdiction, and manifestly frivolous. Cannon gave both sides until Friday to file a proposed list of candidates to be special master.
It's a tough time to be a farmer in northern Nigeria's maize belt. Those like James Owner face high costs of diesel and fertilizer. And that's on top of the threat of militants and gunmen who have forced families off their farms.
Because of our lives are not really secure in the farms. So it makes us, we are really not really safe like we used to be before.
But despite these challenges, Nigeria says it expects to produce 23 million metric tons of maize this year. That's a 12% annual increase. The reason, the Maize Growers Association says, is cheaper credit from the central bank, helping to blunt the higher costs.
A lot of funds have been advanced to farmers.
Edwin Chigozie Uche, president of the Maize Growers and Processors Association of Nigeria, said commercial banks are not keen to lend to farmers due to the insecurity and higher risk of default. The central bank initiative is aimed at reducing grain imports, which it says are a drain on foreign exchange. The 23,000 metric ton estimate is still 7,000 short of Nigeria's annual requirement. Maize, along with rice and wheat, are the most consumed grains in Nigeria. But with production costs increasing, prices are skyrocketing for sellers and consumers, says cereals trader Destiny Chibuzo.
So our customers, they are complaining that the corn is very costly. We don't know what will happen next year.
But back on his farm, Owner says it's the only way.
I believe it will help us to cover up for the cost of the expenses we did during the farming season. So the current price in the market is not bad. We're happy with it.
To ensure their security, farmers have been grouping together to form armed patrol groups. State governments have also set up agro rangers to provide security to those communities that are feeding the nation.
Yesterday's attacks in Saskatchewan are shocking and heartbreaking. My thoughts and the thoughts of all Canadians are with those who've lost loved ones and with those who are injured. This kind of violence, or any kind of violence, has no place in our country. We're still, of course, monitoring the situation closely, and we urge everyone to follow all the updates from the authorities. The priority is keeping you and your loved ones safe, so please be careful. If you see anything, if you have any information, please call 911 to share that. I reached out to the James Smith Cree Nation leadership earlier today, had a good conversation with the chiefs. I also spoke with Premier Moe of Saskatchewan to highlight that the federal government will be there with the resources necessary right now in this time of crisis, but also will continue to work as partners in the weeks, months, and years to come through grieving and healing. As a show of solidarity, all federal buildings in Saskatchewan have been lowered, and the Peace Tower flag has also been lowered to half-mast.